Before we begin, just want to thank everyone for some very insightful forum entries. It's really nice during the week, because I work on so many different things, to have the forums come and kind of brings everything back into focus on what we're actually studying. One of the things I'm experiencing also is that because I'm familiar with the story, in other words, I know what's going to happen. I know the event. I'm able to focus and hear and consider other things that are happening within that Leela, especially the rasa between Mother Yasoda and Krishna, and how that is being focused upon by Sukadeva Goswami in so many of these different descriptions. So it's amazing the way these scriptures and leelas are unlimited. You can hear them over and over and over again, but every time there's a different flavor and a different taste that reveals itself. So let us dive in and go over to the texts. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, April 2024. Lessons 6 and 7. Samapriya, please pick someone to read.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to see you all here in Transcendental Literature. It's so sublime for the soul. Acharya, why don't you begin for us today, Prabhu?
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 32. One day, while Krishna was playing with his small playmates, including Balaram and other sons of the Gopas, all his friends came together and lodged a complaint to Mother Yashoda. Mother, they submitted, Krishna has eaten earth. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Here is another of Krishna's transcendental activities invented to please the gopis. First, a complaint was lodged with Mother Yashoda about Krishna's stealing, but Mother Yashoda did not chastise him. Now, in an attempt to awaken Mother Yashoda's anger so that she would chastise Krishna, another complaint was invented, that Krishna had eaten earth.
Okay, thank you. What do you have to, okay, I have a question. What does it mean, invented?
That Krishna himself arranged it, designed it, made it happen, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about this verse?
Oh, go ahead, Acharya.
No, you first, please.
No, I just appreciated the way that it was almost like your mind was being revealed in the way you wrote the forums. You wrote a forum, and then just a few minutes later, you said, "Well, the whole universe is in this," because the question was, did he eat earth, or did he eat earth, or did he not eat earth? And you went through this whole explanation, and then a few minutes later, you wrote, "Well, it doesn't." He opened his mouth, and the whole universe was there, so it doesn't really matter if he ate the dirt. That was great. But something else?
Yeah, I found it actually kind of humorous in a way that Krishna tried to make his mother angry by, stealing and messing with the local gopis and stealing their food and teasing the babies, and he was unsuccessful. So now he's trying again to make Mother Yashoda angry. I thought that was kind of funny.
Teasing, that word teasing, right?
Yeah.
Krishna's teasing his devotees. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And he's a great tease. Malini? Thank you, Acharya.
I appreciate the question about the word invented. First, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I'm so glad to be here. Because Acharya Prabhu, you responded Krishna. And what I was thinking in my mind, Yoga Maya. And then I thought further, like how we all have minute independence. And so Yoga Maya, she has a job to create more and more pleasure for Krishna in, using his devotee in that way. So how much independence does she has? Like, is invented by Yogamaya for the rasa between Yashoda and Krishna to be increased by Mother Yashoda being angry and all that, you know, not being under the conscious choice of Krishna, if we will say, like how much independence Yogamaya has. That's my question.
Ooh, good question. Patsy, you want to answer that question? How much independence does Yogamaya have?
I'd be interested to see if anybody else wants to chime in before I give my
Okay.
understanding.
Anyone else? Ian, what do you think about that? How much independence does Yogamaya have?
Well, I'm not, well, if she's acting on behalf of Shri Krishna, I think she should have, well, if I say unlimited, I'm not sure I'll be wrong.
I'm
But
not
she
sure.
had some independence, I was supposed to
Oh,
feel. Because most of her Krishna's part-time is arranged by her. So,
okay. There's Nanda. Thank you. Okay, Nandaji. What do you think? How much independence does Yogamaya have?
I think she has a lot of independence because Krishna's controlled by his devotees. He's controlled by the love of his devotees. And that's what makes so many things so unique about Krishna consciousness, that God comes under the control of his devotees. So just like when the coward boys entered the mouth of Aghasura, Krishna didn't want him to enter. He wanted to stop him. And he was just like caught by surprise. Look at how this pastime is unfolding. So that's my vote, that she has a lot of independence.
Okay. Patsy, thank you,
Yes.
Nandaji.
I would have to agree. Also, in the beginning of the Rasa dance, the first verse of chapter 29 states that he took shelter. He had some desires to fulfill. And I said, it's yogasitam. He took shelter of the internal potency. And then he just lets it happen because she has the independence to do everything. And Ian just sort of mentioned that when Krishna's a child, it's not that he's like an actor. When an actor is in a play, the actor still knows and is fully aware of their independent, their other personality, their natural personality, but they're playing a part. I mean, they get into method acting, and you try to become as much as you can for that personality that you may be acting. But Krishna, he fully is engrossed in his fear of his mother when she picks up the stick. It's not an act. He's crying, he's shivering, his pearl necklace shook, and his mother Yasoda bound his belly with ropes. He shivered and frightened, his pearl necklace shook. He's totally absorbed. So he becomes subordinate, as Nanda pointed out, to the love of his devotees. And so many different arrangements will be made so that he can experience that pleasure because she's independent enough to know how to do that. It's not that there's a competition like, oh, she's more powerful than Krishna. No, she's Krishna's internal potency, and therefore she's fulfilling his desires by her powers of independence, through her powers of independence.
Anyone else? That was pretty thorough and wonderful. Okay, let's go on then. Manvantaraji, would you like to read? Thank you, Acharya. Thank you, everyone, for that nice discussion. Manvantaraji? Yeah.
My audio and the video is breaking up. So
Well, you sound good here.
okay, all right, I'll just try and then you can tell me. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Texts 33 and 34. Upon hearing this from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yashoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, picked Krishna up with her hands to look into his mouth and chastise him. Her eyes fearful, she spoke to her son as follows: Dear Krishna, why are you so restless that you have eaten dirt in a solitary place? This complaint has been lodged against you by your playmates, including your elder brother Balaram. How is this? Purport. Yashoda held Krishna by the hand for fear that he would run away. Though Yashoda scolded him, her intention was to benefit him. In this case, scolding and beating nourished the prema. They are not faults. This is the usual habit of a mother toward her son. So it is not unjust. Krishna's eyes were filled with fear, but his mother is an ornament of the Lord caused by prema. It is not a fault. Mother Yashoda was agitated by Krishna's restless misbehavior. Her house was full of sweetmeats. Why then should the restless boy eat dirt in a solitary place? Krishna replied, "My dear mother, they have plotted together and lodged a complaint against me so that you will punish me. My elder brother Balaram has joined them. Actually, I have not done this. Take my words as true. Do not be angry and chastise me."
Oh boy, and the drama begins. Anything else you want to add to this before we go on?
No.
Pretty self-explicit, right? Okay, let's continue on. Thank you. Nandaji, would you like to read?
Yes, dear.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:8-35. Lord Krishna replied, "My dear mother, I've never eaten dirt. All my friends complaining against me are liars. If you think they are being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it." Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Personality of God was playing as a liar and accusing all the other devotees as being liars, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:12-11. Krita punya punya. A devotee may attain such an ecstatic position after many, many births of devotional service. Persons who have amassed the results of vast amounts of pious activities can attain the stage of associating with Krishna and playing with him like ordinary playmates. One should not consider these transactions of transcendental service to be untruthful accusations. One should never accuse such devotees of being ordinary boys speaking lies, for they attain this stage of associating with Krishna by great austerities.
Why don't you read this too, Nandaji, and then we can talk about it.
So this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, or part of it anyway. Krishna said, "I did not eat dirt. To tell a lie for fear of being beaten is natural for a child, and it nourishes the Vatsalya Bhav, parental affection. Vatsalya and other rasas spring from prema, and prema rests within a devotee's heart. It arises in the devotee because of Krishna's inherent affection for his devotees, Bhakta Vatsal. The Lord's quality of Bhakta Vatsal is greater than any of his other spiritual qualities, such as purity, mercy, or truthfulness. As Krishna's telling a lie springs from this, it is not a fault. Rather, it is the crown jewel of all great qualities." Oh.
Okay, Nanda, tell us all about this.
Well, okay, from the previous slide, from the excerpt from Srila Prabhupada's purport, I was thinking of once when I heard His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj explain about the Siddhanta of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He said, ordinary religious processes want to bring the person to the level of understanding that there's a God and knowing God and loving God. But Vaishnav Siddhanta is to come to that level and then go beyond and then forget that he's God. So, you know, where do you go for that? You have to come to Vaishnav Siddhanta. Okay, then according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments, it just enhances the jewel. the jewel of understanding that we get from this Vaishnava philosophy. You know, it's just like, where do you get such high levels of realization? That's what comes to my mind right now, because I forget everything I just read.
No, you did great. I was realizing that what Vishnu Chakravarti said and what Srila Prabhupada said in the text and in the purports, that he wrote his ecstasies, his purports from the words of the acharyas, including Vishnu Chakravarti. So it's very similar. It's actually verbatim, word for word. So I thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah.
And I had the word love, kind of love. Yeah, love, coming to this point of love.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. Anyone else have something to say? See, this is very similar to what Prabhupada wrote, pretty
Yeah.
much the same words.
It's just interesting too that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur focuses in on the quality of Bhaktavatsal. That's Krishna's greatest quality, that he's the lover of devotees. He's the lover of devotees, and that quality is higher than, so he, as the lover of devotees, like he can say to Yudhisthira, now go tell Drona that Ashwatthama is dead, and or do this or do whatever apparent that looks apparently something transgressing some law or other, social or moral or whatever, and he's on the highest platform because he's protecting somehow or other. Everything's done to protect, enhance, nurture, or nourish, and pull the devotees closer to him.
Right. We can also see that, as you said before, about the different levels of devotion to God, right? So, and we've said it often that one first has to come to the level, to the more simplified levels of accepting and obeying the orders of God before we can have a friendly relationship. Or simultaneously, it happens at a certain stage, but we have to know who we're dealing with before we can chastise him. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyone else have something to say about this? No, then let's go on. And okay, Ian stepped out for a minute. Are you back, Ian? I don't know if he is, so. Let's see. Okay, we'll come back to him. Malini, would you like to read?
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, verse 36. Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna, if you have not eaten dust, then open your mouth wide. When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, to exhibit pastimes like a human child, opened his mouth. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is full of all opulence, did not disturb his mother's parental affection, his opulence was automatically displayed. For Krishna's opulence is never lost at any stage, but is manifest at the proper time. Without disturbing the ecstasy of his mother's affection, Krishna opens his mouth and displays his own natural opulences. This is Srila Prabhupada's purport. When a person is given varieties of food, there may be 101 varieties, but if one likes ordinary shark, spinach, he prefers to eat that. Similarly, also Krishna was full of opulences. Now, by the order of Mother Yashoda, he opened wide his mouth like a human child and did not neglect the transcendental humor of maternal affection.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. What do you think about that, Malini? He opened his mouth wide like a human child and did not neglect the transcendental humor of maternal affection.
To come back to Bhaktavatsaya, it's like it's so beautiful to to feel like, okay, we have our effort, but really Krishna, like we are not, our love for Krishna is given by Krishna, and the impetus for that love, the trigger for that love is also given by Krishna. So it's like really being puppet, but also when he give us the, when he give us the love or the impetus for the love, is also increasing our pleasure. So that dance between Krishna and his devotees. And here for Moshe Yashoda, it's interesting because he doesn't want to give Mother Yashoda his opulence, because Mother Yashoda, she's in that rasa of parental affection, and she doesn't have any Aishwarya in her parental affection, so he doesn't want to disturb her. And at the same time, he is disturbing her. He is disturbing that parental affection, but he doesn't really have the power to do that, because, like we will read later in the Nityas he does, they are so strongly situated there that even Krishna cannot disturb the relationship that he has with his eternal associate.
Right.
So
right. Good. So
that's what I
it's
get.
more valuable. We see that Prabhupada's talking in the purports often in this, how Devaki and Vasudeva, their love is different than Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. And he does not want to disturb that. He can't disturb it because he's under the control of his devotee.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. So that's
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And their love is different. We can see that, like even in a prison house, their response to receiving Krishna, their their obeisances, their awe and reverence there, it's not manifesting in Nanda and Yashoda, but we can see that in Vasudeva and Devaki. There is, it's not fully satisfying for Krishna, because there's still that leftover awe and reverence. Of course, it is very satisfying for Krishna at the same time.
Very sweet, extremely sweet. Anyone else? Thank you, Malini. Anyone else have something to say about this verse?
I'm interested to know what people's realization about this. What does this example mean? When a person is given varieties of food, there may be 101 varieties, but if one likes ordinary shak or spinach, he prefers to eat that. Similarly, although Krishna was full of opulences, now by the order of Mother Yasoda, he opened his mouth wide like a human child and did not neglect the transcendental humor of maternal affection. So does that mean that he prefers her maternal affection, although he's showing her the opulence? Just like a person would rather eat spinach than anything else on the plate?
Even, gulab jamun or samosa or kechori or all that abundance, opulence of Prashadam. And one, that's how I understand it too.
Okay, well, anyone else have something to say about that particular line? Thank you, Malini. This is a really interesting point. What does that actually mean?
Chatamayi has her hand raised.
Oh, yeah, good. Cheta? Chatamayi?
Haribol, dear devotees, good morning. I was thinking this is Krishna being very personal with his devotee. And she says, open your mouth. And he could have said, I'm God. I don't have to do anything you ask me to do. But he's so in love with her. And so their relationship is so solid. He will completely cater to her preferences, just as one would prefer spinach. It speaks of the delight that he gets in their relationship and his wanting to please her.
Oh, that's nice. It seems very simple, right? Spinach is very simple, but simplicity is beauty. Srila Prabhupada told us that even in relation to the deities, simplicity is beauty. So that's also really nice. Anyone else have to say something about this? Let's go on. Madhurya Leela, would you like to read? Can you read? Madhurya ji?
I can try. 10 Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 840 to 42. Mother Yashoda began to argue within herself. Is this a dream? or is it an illusory creation by the external energy? Has this been manifested by my own intelligence, or is it some mystic power of my child? Therefore, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances to Him who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is manifested, and by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for He is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. It is by the influence of the Supreme Lord's Maya that I am wrongly thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband, that Krishna is my son, and that because I am the queen of Nanda Maharaj, all the wealth of cows and calves are my possessions, and all the cowherd men and their wives are my subjects. Actually, I also am eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord. He is my ultimate shelter.
Okay, just now hold that. And we're gonna, Ian, would you like to read the purport? I don't want you to struggle anymore, Madhurya.
I made a mistake because I used the same picture here. We have to read this one first. It didn't make sense because we have to read, let's go back. Sorry about that. This was the one where he opened his mouth. Then right after, there's a description of what she saw. So we have to read this first. Sorry.
Okay. Ian, why don't you read that?
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Slowly, and wonderfully.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, nicely.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Sorry about I'm having the problem with the video, so I'm not able to see myself. And so it's 10.8.37 to 39.
Yes.
That's what I'm to read.
Yes, that's what you're doing, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so when Krishna opened his mouth, right by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all moving and non-moving entities, outer space and all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankara. She also saw the senses, the mind, sense, perception, and its three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. She saw the time allotted for the living entities. She saw natural instinct and the reasons of karma, and she saw desires and different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving. Seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestation, along with herself and Vrindavan Dham, she became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the cosmic manifestations that exist on the gross and subtle elements, as well as the means of the agitation, the three gunas, living entity, creation, maintenance, annihilation, and everything going on in the external energy of the Lord, all this comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Everything is within the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Maya Yada Dayakshina Prakriti, Shiyate Sa Charan. Everything in the material nature, the Prakriti, works under his control. Because all these manifestations come from Govinda, they could all be visible with the motor Govinda.
Wow.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That goes back to what Acharya said about the dirt, right? The dirt is inside of the mouth as well as the whole universe and everything else. So what do you think about this, about the three gunas in this? That really made me contemplate the three gunas when I read this. Ian, what's your word of wisdom about the three gunas?
Yes, I hadn't seen that. I was thinking myself, but since in the because in using universal form, then I think everything would be shown, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because yes, and the universal forms, all those aspects see that comes as a result of creation. So it's possible that the gunas will be a part of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
In time.
So
Universe.
also even you're in Krishna's mouth. You
Yes,
must be. Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay. Anyone else has something to say also about the three gunas? That's just like really woke me
I,
up
I
there.
find I find it interesting that out of that whole description, that's what you caught your eye.
Because I'm so absorbed in the three gunas, that's what it was. and then there it caught me right there. Okay, well, or any other description. Someone's hand was just up. Charlie, was your hand up? Thank you, Ian.
Yes, Mother, thank you. One thing I really like in this verse and the next one, the next one, although it was read before it, something that Prabhupada was really super expert in was that he could teach the very topmost, highest rasika truths of devotional service, and at the same time be teaching, the very basic, you're not your body, and merging them so perfectly. So I really like seeing how the Bhagavatam is doing that now. In this pastime, we're seeing Mother Yashoda with this amazing, not even knowing Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet at the same time, she's teaching us about the modes of nature and the nature of the universe. And in the next verse, she's saying, oh, don't be attached to your position, to your body.
Yeah.
So I really like how those two things are being balanced nicely, and they're not contradictory, or they actually go together nicely when they're presented like this. And I was just enjoying that a lot.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. How else could Prabhupada present it to people who didn't know anything about anything, but being presented like this, it starts to make sense. Thank you. Madhurya?
Well, on the slide that I read, the last few sentences reminded me of the song or the play they used to do. It was almost exactly the same words.
Oh, yeah. You want to sing them for us?
No, but it's exactly from the play. It is by the influence that I'm wrongly thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband. Do you remember that play?
Read that again, Madhurya. Can you?
It is by the influence of the Supreme Lord's Maya that I'm wrongly thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband, that Krishna is my son, and that because I am the queen of Nanda Maharaj, all the wealth of cows and calves are my possessions, and all the cowherd men and their wives are my subject. Actually, I'm also eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord. He's my ultimate shelter. Yeah, I think it was a play they did, or a song, but those were exactly the lines they used there.
Those are perfect lines. They're pretty much the most perfect lines. And as Acharya was pointing out, the basic philosophy is being taught by Mother Yasoda, and she's experiencing the highest, topmost, ultimate bliss. Thank you. Beautiful. So I think we'll go on to the next purport from the verse that Madhurya Leela read. Madhurya, are you able to read the purport, or maybe I should choose someone else because I don't want you to tax yourself?
Yeah, I could skip.
You can read it?
No, she said she could skip.
Okay, good. Okay. So, Tisha, my darling, please read this purport.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer him our respectful obeisances.
You want to skip for now, Tisha, sweetie?
No.
Go on. Okay, go on. This is very hitting home for you, I know.
Then our position will be secure. This was the means adopted in this instance also by Mother Yashoda. Whatever happens, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva Karana Karanam. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Mother Yashoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw within the mouth of her child were due to him, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause. We should not be proud of our possessions, as expressed by Mother Yashoda herein. I am not the owner of possessions, the opulent wife of Nanda Maharaj. The estate, the possessions, the cows and the calves, and the subjects like the gopis and cowherd men are all given to me. One should give up thinking of my possessions, my son and my husband. Nothing belongs to anyone but the Supreme Lord. Only because of illusion do we wrongly think I am existing or everything belongs to me. Thus, Mother Yashoda completely surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. For the moment, she was rather disappointed, thinking, my endeavors to protect my son by charity and other auspicious activities are useless. The Supreme Lord has given me many things, but unless he takes charge of everything, there is no assurance of protection. I must therefore ultimately seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Whoa, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What does that mean, Tisha? Paying your obeisances. That's what in this moment of complete bewilderness, or in moments of our complete bewilderness, it is suggested here that one take full shelter and surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And sometimes it takes a real blow for us to do that. So can you speak about that, Tisha?
The only thing that comes to my mind, and please forgive me, I cannot remember the Vaishnavi that was on the Bonds of Love yesterday from the Vaishnavi ministry. But she said something that stuck in my mind. Some ladies asked Prabhupada, what are we taking shelter? What is Krishna protecting us from? And they were having a discussion about taking shelter from their husband or family members, father, and all that. And the ultimate answer was that all of these things are fallible, that they don't last. The only protection is Krishna. It's infallible. To take your protection in something that never ends, never goes away.
Wonderful. So actually that perfect situation, that those obeisances that we pay, that surrender, is also it's a matter of faith. It's a matter of faith. This is the one to surrender to. This is who we pay our obeisances to. That paying obeisances means I surrender to Krishna. That means I fully accept whatever he has done. And this is Mother Yashoda speaking. This is beautiful. Okay, one more other question. What does it mean, I am not existing? What does that mean? I am not existing. I am not existing. Can you tell us, teacher, what does that mean?
I'll have to give that to someone else, please.
Okay, anyone know what does that mean? I'm existing. Wrongly thinking I am existing. That sounds a little strange, huh? Anyone have an answer to that? What does that mean? Nobody's okay.
Because he's the entire purport. You have to take sometimes you can't just take this and by itself. You have to take it into context of what's being said. And what's happening is that Mother Yashoda is realizing that she is not the owner of all the things that are around her in her life. So when he says one should, and it says here, only because of illusion do we wrongly think I am existing. The I am existing in illusion is I am this body, I'm an American, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a German, these are mine, that's mine, I'm existing. You're not existing, you're temporarily manifest as that living entity that will change in due course of time. So in that sense, it is an illusion to think I am existing, because you're really not existing as you think you're existing. You're existing somehow else in reality and in eternity. So that's how taking that statement into the context of the whole purport makes more sense.
Yeah, very good. Yes,
Good.
we were discussing this before.
Yeah. Secondly, there's another nice point that's brought out in the very beginning. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and offer him our respectful obeisances. Then our position will be secure. And then he goes on to explain the sarva karana karanam. So sometimes in life, oftentimes, you just really can't figure it out. We're so addicted to analyzing and figuring it all out. If you can't do that, which happens now and then, sometimes people get frustrated, or they'll create an illusion so that they can reconcile their confusion. But in actuality, seeing Krishna behind, that's that verse, Tattenu Kumpam Shukshamikshamana, that one should see that this is the Supreme Lord controlling everything. Due to my past deeds, I'm in this circumstance, and these are the way things are happening. And when one does that, it puts things in the proper perspective of all that exists. Malini?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Simon. Stay on the topic. What were you going to say?
Just left. Sorry. Maybe he'll come back.
I'll
Malini.
surrender to Krishna and figure that it must be that.
Oh, the obeisance. Oh, wow. Okay, don't worry. Go on, Malini.
I was just thinking when reading, when the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, one have no choice but to turn to the personality of Godhead and surrender. And I was thinking, and what when the immediate cause is ascertained? Like, okay, does that mean that, there is two ways we can, I can understand that. Does that mean, okay, when the immediate cause can be ascertained, then it's my responsibility to take care of it. But at the same time, Krishna must be somewhere.
Okay, so then you're talking a relative. You're talking relative. That has to do with the world, right? Don't neglect your duty.
I'm just looking at that sentence, when the immediate cause cannot be ascertained. How to interpret that does that mean like only in that situation do I surrender and I accept Krishna is there? Or, because the beginning too is like when we have nowhere else to turn, we turn to Krishna. Or when the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let's just simply offer our obeisances to the lotus feet of the Lord. But what if we can, find
ultimately, of course, you always surrender. You always surrender to Krishna, but you're put in this situation to try to figure some things out. So this is your field of activities to become a pure devotee. So there are some things that you're supposed to be able to work in your environment, right? If you can't figure it out, ultimately after trying it, or you're faced with a big trauma that you cannot figure this out, you just surrender. Obeisances to the Supreme Lord is the miracle food. It really is, because that's full surrender. Krishna knows. Maybe other people can figure it out, but I can't figure it out. So I am paying my obeisances to you. And that means I surrender to you. That means please help me. But obviously, for other things that we are given responsibility for, I mean, we're always acting and using things in Krishna's service and acting and figuring out what to do on a material level to maintain and to do our service. And, but there comes times when you are hit with something that you cannot figure out. It's a very soul-stirring moment for the soul-stirring, where you actually pay your obeisances. That means full surrender. I found that fascinating for myself this morning when I was reading this again. You pay your obeisances to the Supreme Godhead because you can. He is Sarva Karana Karanam. That's what I was going to say before. Sarva Karana Karanam. That means the cause of all causes. He's the ultimate cause of everything. See? And he individually works with each one of us, not only according to our karma, but according to how we can surrender to him. When you're a devotee, I mean, we come with our package and our karma, but Krishna uses that to bring us close to him. So it not necessarily because of your bad deeds in the past life, this is happening to you. When you're a devotee, Krishna uses that. He uses the system that he's already created of karma. You know, we would discuss this years ago, the Tete Nukumpam Shushamikshimano verse. So it's all love. It's based on love, the love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Bhaktavatsala, that we just realized that's his best, wonderful, most wonderful quality is Bhaktavatsala. His devotees are most dear to him. So, am I making sense? Okay. Hare Krishna. Sometimes what I say, I have to think about what I said, you know, because this knowledge is incredible. All right, let's go on now. Thank you so much, Tisha. Bhadraji, would you like to read? Bhadra. Yes, Bhadra. Okay, he's not. So, Caitlin, hot yoga. Congratulations on all your babies.
Thank you.
And there he is.
Oh, I hear him. You got somebody there?
Is he gonna read?
Show us. Let's see.
I think he should. Oh, he's feeding right now.
Okay, we won't see. We don't have to
don't want to
see.
see that.
What's
then.
his name? What's his name?
He is Bodhika Krishna.
Bodhika?
Bodhika Krishna.
Desire tree?
Bodhika Krishna.
Bodhika tree?
The giver of knowledge.
Oh,
Krishna.
Bodhi, yeah.
Bodhika.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Given knowledge of Krishna. Well, we are going to want to hear from him one day. If he can give us that, that's it. Thank you, Kate.
I can try to read this verse.
Okay, let's
these
see.
beautiful verses. Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, maybe not. Maybe in a few minutes I can read.
Okay, darling. Okay. Chaita, you want to read?
Yes,
Chaita,
Mataji.
Good.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Hare
Text Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 43 and 40 through 45. Mother Yashoda, by the grace of the Lord, could understand the real truth. But then again, the Supreme Master, by the influence of the internal potency, Yoga Maya, inspired her to become absorbed in intense maternal affection for her son. Immediately forgetting Yoga Maya's illusion that Krishna had shown the universal form within his mouth, Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap as before, feeling increased affection in her heart for her transcendental child. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are studied through the three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literature of Sankhya Yoga, and other Vaishnav literature. Yet, Mother Yashoda considered that the Supreme Person, her ordinary child.
Go on.
Srila Prabhupada's purport. The absolute truth is realized in three features. Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan iti Shabdate. But she is in such ecstasy that she does not care to understand what is Brahman, what is Paramatma, or what is Bhagavan. Bhagavan has personally descended to become her beloved child. Therefore, there is no comparison to Mother Yashoda's good fortune. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, just as one quickly forgets a dream through the influence of Maya, Yashoda forgot completely about the universal form. In the presence of Aishvarya Gyan, knowledge of the Lord's opulence and majesty, intimacy and affection is restricted. Now, being unrestricted, Yashoda's affection increased even more. Shukdev describes Yashoda as Pravrida Sneha Kalila Hridaya, one whose heart was completely covered with increased affection. In this verse, Vyasadeva shows how Yashoda's maternal love was superior to that of Devaki. Yashoda's love remained unrestricted in spite of seeing Krishna's powers and hearing about the Lord's powers from the scriptures, such as the three Vedas, which glorify Krishna as the Yagna Purusha. Without regard for time or place, Mother Yashoda considered the all-powerful Lord, who is glorified directly and indirectly in the scriptures, as an ordinary child. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continued, as the fruitive workers think of the Lord as the Yagna Purusha according to the Vedas, similarly, Yashoda thought of the Lord as her son, due to her Vatsalya Prem. Just as Krishna gives results to the karmis who worship him, he reciprocated with Yashoda's maternal affection. But Krishna could not respond fully to the amount of affection offered by Yashoda. Remaining a debtor, Krishna was content to be dependent on Yashoda's mercy and control and cry for her milk. This will become clear in later chapters. One should take this verse as a Paribhas Sutra of Krishna Lila. As a lamp sits in one place in a dark room and lights up the whole room, so that statement in the scriptures, which can reveal the meaning of all scriptures, or regulate the meaning of the scriptures, is called a Paribhasa Sutra. This verse stands as a regulator for all of the pastimes related to Aishvarya, displays of power and opulence, shown during Krishna's Komar and Kaishor, childhood and youthful ages, in Mathura, Kurukshetra, and elsewhere.
You have to unmute, Sama.
Hare Krishna.
Could you change this to, could you show us the verse again, because we can read this last verse.
Okay, so this is the Paribhasa Sutra. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are studied through the three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literature of Sankhya Yoga, and other Vaishnava literature. Yet, Mother Yashoda considered that Supreme Person her ordinary child.
Okay, what do you got to say?
This is the big difference between Gyan and realization. This is what Lord Chaitanya came to give us, was this high level prema realization that we have this intimate relationship with Krishna, and that supersedes the position of knowledge. We need to come to the point as best we can to bhav, and in another situation we'll be capable of procuring prem. But here is Mother Yashoda giving a grand demonstration. She's immersed in Gyan, looking into his mouth, seeing who he really is. And at the same time, she says, I don't really want this. What I really want is my sweet relationship with my baby boy.
Right, very good. Okay, you know, when Prabhupada says in the purport that Mother Yashoda had no interest and didn't want to discuss Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, because she was situated in such a high level of maternal love. But
Mm.
it's not that she couldn't discuss that, really. One has to pass through all of these various stages of knowledge and self-realization before I keep pushing this verse because I'm simultaneously reading about Dhruva Maharaj in the Bhagavatam. We can't think that you can get to the Prabhupada always used to say, get to the 10th canto, jumping over everything, you know. Mother Yasoda is a different situation. She's a Shakti. My husband was explaining to me this morning how Mother Yasoda is a Shakti. That means an energy, a divine energy of the Lord. But we have to prepare ourselves to be able to be so intimate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But you read a lot, so what else do we want to discuss of this?
I was thinking the reason she stays with her perception is that there's not enough satisfaction in Gyan. There's not enough satisfaction in reading the Upanishads or the Vedas. But on this high level, that's where the gold is. So that's where she wants to be. So I did have a question about something mentioned in the purport, which is Vatsala Prem. And I was wondering, I used to think that Prem was all about Madhurya Ras. But now seeing that there's Vatsalya Prem, and there's also Sakya Prem with the cowherd boys, right? And is there a Dasa Prem as well? How do these all fit in?
Yes.
Do you want to do that?
Prema is the current, and it has different manifestations, just like a river goes through different atmospheres as it travels. So prema, yes, there's definitely Dasya Prema, Sakya Prema, Vatsalya Prema, and Madhurya Prema. We see that some acharyas even say that there's Shanta Prema in Braj. For example, the trees, the cows, they're so pleased to give milk. They're doing it as a service. There's some element of that, but it's their natural behavior just by the spiritual bodies that they have to give milk or to be a tree and give fruit. But they're doing it in love for Krishna. So yes, there's prema in all the different rasas.
Thank you.
Yeah. Regarding what Samapriya was saying about Mother Yasoda being a Shakti, we were talking about how Srila Prabhupada mentions that one should not try to become Mother Yasoda. That position as the eternal mother of Krishna is her position. But we should follow in footsteps of Mother Yasoda and the residents of Braj to develop our love for him in a similar manner. One might take the mothers of the other cowherd boys as an example. And they're loving their sons, but they're also loving Krishna in a maternal way. So much so that when the cows and calves were stolen by Brahma and the cowherd boys were stolen by Brahma, Krishna expanded himself into those boys, and then he went home and reciprocated with each one of those mothers as their son. So in this way, he fulfilled their desires as well, to be mothers of Krishna. Although, of course, Mother Yasoda is the prime. There's a nice example that I want to bring up from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami regarding these topics when we read this section of the 10th canto. This describes kind of the mood that all devotees should have. Seva Saraka Rupena, Siddha Rupena Chatrahi, Tad Bhava Lupsana Karya, Vraj Lokanusarata. This means that one should perform their seva in the mood of a saraka. Seva saraka rupena, in other words, performing the regulative activities of sadhana. But siddha rupena chatrahi, within himself, that he should meditate on his siddha, that he's not this body, that he or she is an eternal servant of Krishna, and gradually that identity becomes revealed. So acting with understanding there is an eternal relationship with Krishna, siddha rupena chatrahi, tad bhava lupsana karya, means that mood of desiring to obtain and execute a mood, a particular servant of Krishna. Tad bhava lupsana karya vraj lokanusarata means to try to attain the mood that the Brijbasis have. Loka anusarata means following the residents of Braj, attaining a mood similar to them. So one should perform their activities with regular sadhana, but within himself meditate on his eternal nature, trying to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. So when we look at these verses and understand the Paribhasa Sutra that's being described here, this verse stands as a regulator for all the pastimes of Aishvarya, or displays of power and opulence shown during Krishna's Kumara and Kayashwara ages. Means that we can also, just like Nanda brought up a really good point, I've never heard that before, but we study to know who is God. And then when you understand who is God, we have to forget who is God, because the love for the Supreme Person becomes the dominant mood, the dominant emotion in the Brijbasis. So following them is what we should aspire for, although we can't do it artificially.
Wow. Oh, that was beautiful. Yes, Chaitanya?
Wonderful points, Prabhu. My question now is, how does it become revealed? What is the Siddha Swarup? Do we get that in our heart, or do we get this from the Gurudev, or how do we know who we're supposed to follow in the Vrindavan scene?
Can I say something on that? You'll know. It will
You'll
become very clear to you. But we got some time.
What if
We're
we're
trying
impatient?
to control the senses here, you know. Krishna will reveal it to you when you have no, Prabhupada says, when you have no material attachments. He said, when you know you've got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, when there are no material desires. And okay, that's the first step.
Thank you.
Just the first step. So, you know, it's nothing wrong with taking a humble position. We're going to go to where we're supposed to be, even if we don't realize it now.
Here's the formula. You asked how will it be revealed? Nitya Siddha, Krishna Pema, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanada Sudachite Karaya Udoy. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the heart of the living entities. That means everyone has an inherent love for Krishna, just like a seed has an inherent plant. It is not something to be gained from another source, Sadhya Kabunai. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the love naturally awakens. So that example of the Bhakti Lata Bij is perfect in this regard, that the Guru gives the seed, which are the instructions how to grow the seed. And as our eternal nature manifests, I mean, we can see that we're in the human form of body. We've joined this Chaitanya Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and we're hearing and chanting these topics rather than being in another universe or in another time and space hearing about Kurma or Varaha or Nrsimha or another form of the Lord. We're cultivating this particular mood, so we can assume and feel it that we're naturally of that, in that relationship with the Lord. Gradually details are being revealed.
Thank you so much. Beautiful, Dhruva Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay, so let's,
Ian and Acharya both.
Oh, okay. Acharya, then Ian.
Yeah, I hate to make this overly long, but I love this week's reading, but this particular comment from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about text 45 being a Paribhasa Sutra really struck me very strongly, and I've sort of been, you know, churning it over in my mind all week, that it's, you know, I thought it was really a bold and kind of brilliant point he made. And I'll say a couple of seconds, but I'd like to hear what yourself, Mother Samapriya, and Dhruva Prabhu also have to say about this. That just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, The Paribas Sutra is, I think, Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam, Krishna's Tu Bhagavan Swayam. And that one verse allows one to understand the entire Bhagavatam. And the entire Bhagavatam has to be understood with that in mind, that Krishna is the origin of everything, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, source of all the avatars. And if you don't understand that one verse, then you can't understand the Bhagavatam. So Vishwanath Chakravarti saying that this verse about Mother Yashoda, that some people do Traya, the three Vedas, and some do Upanishads and Sankhya, and even the Vaishnav literature. But over and above that is the spontaneous love of Mother Yashoda, and him saying this is a Paribas Sutra, that if you don't understand this, then you can't understand the love of the devotees of Vrindavan. It kind of blew my mind, and I've been sort of thinking over it all week long.
Should I say?
Beautiful.
But
No, go ahead.
This Aishvarya, which is love in opulence. This is the motivating factor. It inhibits this more intimate love. As far as when I read this and contemplating it, this love, the pure love of the soul for Krishna on the highest level, if there is opulence and if the fearful, just like Arjuna said in the Bhagavad Gita, please show me your other form. And he was saying all these wonderful prayers in the 11th chapter to Krishna, and his love was stinted. It was being inhibited by the magnificence, this Aishwarya form of the Lord, is all pervasiveness. It actually stumbles the love, the pure love that exists within the heart of the devotee. So it can't be manifest. It can't be manifest because it's being taken over with this overwhelming feeling. Even Arjuna experienced. Pati, you want to add?
That was
to
in the purport. Go ahead, read that.
In the presence of Aishwarya Gyan, knowledge of the Lord's opulence and majesty, intimacy and affection is restricted. And that was a perfect example with Arjuna and with Mother Yasoda. And I'm sure if we did a little research, we could find other places where, with all of a sudden, the intimacy the devotee feels with Krishna is being stopped because the Aishwarya Bhav is being exhibited. That's my understanding. Pati.
Ian?
Wait a minute. Is this satisfying to you?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Acharya?
Acharya. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yes, it makes completely sense. It makes complete sense, and that's a great explanation. I was just like really struck by.
Yeah, thank you. That was wonderful. I like the comparison between the two Paribhasya Sutras.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Ian.
Okay, Albo.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so Dhruva Prabhu, I just struck by that line which says Krishna being a debtor to Mother Yashoda. And I think also in the Ras Leela, I think somewhere after we're saying that he couldn't repay them, so they should be satisfied with their service. So then if you could comment on, he's a supreme being, so is he a debtor to Mother Yashoda? In that part, you say that
Well, I think it goes back to that verse that we were speaking about earlier with Bhakta-Vatsala. His mood is that your love, his devotee, your love is so wonderful that my only power to reciprocate with you is to appreciate it, and there's nothing I can give you that can surpass it, because your love is so great. He's appreciating her love. He's appreciating the gopis' love.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, one other thing that struck me, Ian, was bring it down a few levels to a basic principle of free will of the living entity. It is the free will of the living entity which you cannot love without the free will. You have to choose to love. So this basic free will of the living entity, Krishna has eternally ago given it to the living entity, and he allows us that choice. So and if that's the one thing that we have, and then we give that to him, how can he feels indebted, because
Nice.
anyone who gives you something, you feel indebted to that person. What to speak of giving your free will? I don't know. That's what Chita. Was that okay?
Yeah,
Ian.
thank you. Very good.
Chita.
That was nice, Marta. I was just remembering this verse from the fourth book of Adi Leela, text 17. All the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by that sense of majesty
Good.
does
Excellent.
not satisfy me.
Good girl. Very
Good.
good point. Nice good Shastric reference to this whole topic. Excellent. Okay, shall we continue? Faye, would you like to read?
Bajra was raising his hand practically
Oh,
the whole
Bajra.
time of the sharing.
I'm sorry, I didn't see Bajraji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
darling. I'm
Hare
sorry.
Krishna, I keep listening. Dhruv Maharaj, Prabhu, I want to get some insight because the Krishna Shyam Sundar navel is Vrindavan, and in the Vraj, the prominents are the Vatsalya, Madhurya, Sakhya, and some Dasya. Now, in the Mathura, when Krishna goes to Mathura, to Devaki and Vasudev. Now, Devaki and Vasudev has already seen Krishna, so four-handed form before Krishna became a little baby. So when after killing Kamsa, Krishna and Balram is going there to release the to Devaki and Vasudev, and they are saying, Devaki and Vasudev is saying that, oh, here is the Supreme Person, Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, and they don't wanna like a hug or whatever because they are thinking so. So my question is, I haven't read further, so my question is how they were dealing with Krishna, and of course in Mathura and Dwarka, he's in Vishnu form. He's not Shyam Sundar Krishna. He's two-handed form. So how they were dealing with Krishna and Balram, they are their sons, but at the same time, they think that. So can someone put insight into his place?
Can I ask a question based on that question? My understanding was that he is not exhibiting the four-handed form at every moment in Dwarka. He's not going to battle. He's not marrying his princesses. The four in his earthly pastimes.
No. I understand that he's not going to sort of four-handed form to.
And when he was a little baby, and he was in his Vishnu form when he was a little baby. The picture that we see makes us think that it was in the Vishnu form, but as far as my research previously, I wrote something about this, so I did some research that he was actually in a baby form, and in the four-on baby form, which had to be completely awesome and adorable.
But what does that have to do with what he's asking? It's not whether he has four hands or two hands. It's about their mood to him. If I'm correct about the question,
that's what I'm asking.
He's asking that when Krishna and Balaram killed Kamsa, now they're staying in Mathura. How is it that Devaki and Vasudev, all of a sudden, understanding that he's the Supreme Lord, are also treating him as sons? Him and Balaram. Am I correct, Bajra?
That's right. Exactly. That's what what will the mood? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, go on and answer.
Well, we'll see when we get there. Keep everybody on the edge of their seats for a few more chapters. But
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm sure we'll go deeper into it, just like we're learning more here. But obviously what will happen, or what transpires, is that just as Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, or here, let's take this example. Mother Yasoda is seeing the universal form, but because her maternal love is so dominant, it comes to the point where she doesn't even consider it. She loses all attraction, and just like Vishwanath staying in the purport, just like a dream, it's forgotten. So in a similar way, but not to the same extent, Devaki and Vasudev will perceive Krishna and Balaram as their sons. Otherwise, how could they instruct them? How could he possibly say, don't go back to Braj? Which is what he says. You can read it throughout the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You can read it through the rest of the
He didn't
Srimad
allow him.
Bhagavatam. They
Yes.
don't allow him to go back. So how could that be unless there was so much paternal Vatsalya Bhav
Yeah.
that he's saying, no, you can't go back. You must stay here with me and do these services as my son. And
Good.
Krishna
Oh, I
reciprocated with it perfectly. Yes,
Thank
I can't
you.
go back. He's my father.
Thank you.
love it.
Thank you.
So sweet. Oh my God. It's so wonderful. Okay.
Okay, I think we have 5 more verses.
Well, Faye, can you read? Nice to see you, Faye. How you doing? Okay. What's going on? You have to unmute, darling. If you're. Where is she?
She's having some challenges, Sama. I don't know if she can do that.
Okay. Okay, forget about it. Okay, I'm sorry, Faye. All right, well, let's Acharyaji, why don't you read? Faye, is that okay?
We can try also
Okay.
Caitlin again if she's ready.
Okay, well, let's try Caitlin because she didn't read.
Well,
Caitlin?
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Oh, now everybody is ready to read. I think I heard Faye.
Faye, you want to
Oh,
read? Oh,
okay.
well, let her read, and then Caitlin
Yeah.
will see if you can read.
Mother Sama, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sweetie.
My internet connection is very unstable, so I'm going to cut off my video.
Okay, good. That'll work. Good.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.46 through 47. Having heard of the great fortune of Mother Yashoda, Pariksit Maharaj inquired from Sukadev Goswami, O learned Brahmana, Mother Yashoda's breast milk was sucked by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What past auspicious activities did she and Nanda Maharaj perform to achieve such perfection in ecstatic love? Although Krishna was so pleased with Vasudeva and Devaki that he descended as their son, they could not enjoy Krishna's magnanimous childhood pastimes, which are so great that simply chanting about them vanquishes the contamination of the material world. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, however, enjoyed these pastimes fully, and therefore their position is always better than that of Vasudeva and Devaki. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From Krishna's babyhood to his childhood, and from his childhood to his youth, Mother Yashoda was always in association with Krishna. Even when Krishna was grown up, he would go to Vrindavan and sit on the lap of Mother Yashoda. Therefore, there is no comparison to the fortune of Mother Yashoda. And Parikshit Maharaj naturally inquired, Yashoda Mahabhaga, Krishna actually took birth from the womb of Devaki, but just after his birth, he was transferred to the home of Mother Yashoda. Devaki could not even have Krishna suck her breast. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was astonished. How had Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj become so fortunate that they enjoyed the complete childhood pastimes of Krishna, which are still glorified by saintly persons? What had they done in the past by which they were elevated to such an exalted position?
Wow. Thank you, Faye. Can you comment on that?
Yes, Mataji, we have danced around this earlier today.
Yeah, we did. That's true. You can
Yes,
summarize
Mataji.
it.
I think it's sweet that we're seeing not only Yashoda as a part of Krishna, very different than an ordinary person who's taken many births and gone through many, many auspicious prayers and sacrifices and so forth in order to associate with Krishna. Yashoda is a little different, but by aspiring to read and hear about Yashoda's such elevated and advanced love for Lord Krishna, all she ever does is want to love him more, which increases our excitement and love for him. Thank you, Mataji.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else have something to comment on in this verse?
Let's move on, Sam.
Okay, we have to move on. What about Chaita?
Oh,
She
there's a
wants to say
question.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
just a
on,
quick question. Do you consider Mother Yashoda to be a Nitya Siddha, whereas Mother Devaki is a Sadhana Siddhi? Sadhana Siddha?
Kati, answer that.
Let's read on, and I'm pretty sure it's in this section. It's coming up.
Okay,
Okay. All right.
thank you.
Okay, go. Kate, do you want to read, Kate? Caitlin, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Can you read?
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, chapter 8, 48. Sukadev Goswami said, to follow the orders of Lord Brahma, Drona, the best of the Vasas, along with his wife Tara, spoke to Lord Brahma in this way. When Krishna descends anywhere, he is accompanied by his own associates. These associates are not ordinary living beings. Krishna's pastimes are eternal, and when he descends, he comes with his associates. Therefore, Nanda and Mother Yashoda are the eternal father and mother of Krishna. This means that whenever Krishna descends, Nanda and Yashoda, as well as Vasudeva and Devaki, also descend as the Lord's father and mother. Their personalities are expansions of Krishna's personal body. They are not ordinary living beings. Maharaj Parikshit knew this, but he was curious to know from Sukadev Goswami whether it is possible for an ordinary human being to come to this stage by sadhana siddhi. There are two kinds of perfection, nitya siddhi and sadhana siddhi. A nitya siddha is one who is eternally Krishna's associate, an expansion of Krishna's personal body, whereas a sadhana siddhi is an ordinary human being who, by executing pious activities and following regulative principles of devotional service, also comes to that stage. Thus, the purpose of Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry was to determine whether an ordinary human being can attain the position of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Sukadev Goswami answered the question as follows.
Hey, Krishna. Well, we're going to get the answer soon. What do you think about this, Caitlin?
Well, I believe well, here we are addressing Chaita's question. But it seems to me like they are all Nitya Siddhas. They're all expansions of his personal body.
Including Devaki and Vasudeva? This is a big question. Maybe, yes, Patsy? Devaki and
From
Vasudeva?
that purport, yes. They always come. They're actually expansions of Nanda and Yashoda.
Nanda, yeah.
There's archetypes and then there's expansions, just like Krishna, and then there's his expansions. That's very nice, Caitlin. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on reading. Thank you, Caitlin. Acharya, you want to continue, and then Manvantara?
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 49. Drona and Dara said, please permit us to be born on the planet Earth, so that after our appearance, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller and master of all planets, will also appear and spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life, so that those born in this material world may very easily be delivered from the miserable condition of materialistic life by accepting this devotional service. Purport. Whenever there is a necessity of Krishna's appearance, Drona and Dara appear first, and then Krishna appears. Before Krishna's appearance, Drona and Dara appear in order to become his father and mother. It is they who appear as Nanda Maharaj and his wife Yashoda. In other words, it is not possible for a sadhana siddha living being to become the father or mother of Krishna, for Krishna's father and mother are already designated.
So thank you, I just don't mean to interrupt, but that's a big one right there. That answers your question, Chatamayi? Correct?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Acharya.
But by following the principles exhibited by Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and their associates, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, ordinary living beings may attain such affection as exhibited by Nanda and Yashoda.
So before we go on to the next paragraph, explain what does that mean?
You're asking me?
Yes.
That you cannot take the position of these Nitya Siddhas, Nanda and Yashoda, or gopis, or cowherd boys, but you can attain love following in their footsteps. You could attain the same type of love, the same type, similar loving relationship, but you can't become them.
Oh, very good. Okay.
And there's a place for you in the spiritual world in that mood. Right?
Nice.
That's
Yes,
an
very
important
nice.
point, you know. Okay, go on.
There is no question of accepting or not accepting Krishna consciousness. It is not optional. It is compulsory. If we do not take to Krishna consciousness, our life is very risky. Everything is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, to learn how to become free from the miserable condition of material existence, Bhagavad Gita as it is the preliminary study. Then, if one understands Bhagavad Gita, one can proceed to Srimad Bhagavatam. And if one advances further, one may study Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are therefore presenting these invaluable books to the whole world so that people may study them and be happy, being delivered from miserable conditional life.
Anything to say about this, Acharyaji?
A great encouragement. And like I said before, how Prabhupada is merging the very highest principles of, Rasika Bhakti, and at the same time reminding us of the basics and what we have to do and what we have to go through to get there.
There is great hope. There is great hope. We have to just stick to the process and don't get discouraged if there's not immediate gratification. Just keep going with it because we're doing almost the impossible, but somehow or another we keep doing it. So Krishna's seeing our determination. Okay, Mandadharaji.
One second, Sam. Malini.
Malini. Sorry, Angel.
Well, I'm not sure if there is time, but I have a question about Drona and Dara. He's the best of the Vasus, and so that means that they're eternal mother and fathers. They are like waiting as a Vasus at the beginning of creation. Are they Drona and Dara in a spiritual world? It's just, I have question about them because they are presented at Vasus, so it seems that it's a post within the material world. And
it is.
That will indicate, something other than Nitya Siddha in some ways. So that's what, but maybe it's too long of conversation to start now, but I have question about that.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
The nature of the spiritual body and the living entities in the spiritual world is one of Krishna's favorite qualities, and that's the ability to expand themselves. So Krishna's doing that. He's Paramatma and taking care of everything in the material world, and he's also got a whole thing going on in the spiritual world. So the Vasus are material positions, and simultaneously Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj are experiencing their rasa and pastimes with Krishna in the spiritual world and have expanded themselves to come to the material world. That happens. Not to the extent that Krishna expands himself, but his parts and parcels do have that, or to speak of the Shaktis, have that potency to expand themselves in the material world and expand themselves many times in the spiritual world too. So that's
Yeah,
something.
yeah, we see that even some associates in Vrindavan, they are two people and often they expand themselves. What I'm curious about is like, Drona and Dara coming as Vasus. I understand they can come in different
Why
form,
not?
but and why not? Yeah, that's always a good response. Hare Krishna.
I mean, they can come any way that they want. We see Ramananda Roy, who is Vishaka, and Arjun. The spiritual body is a little bit different. Acharya?
Srila Sanatan Goswami says in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and actually, I can't remember if he says all the associates of Krishna or some of them, but at least some of them have this, that they have appearances in the spiritual world,
Right.
appearances in the heavenly planets, expansions in the material world. So this principle is not even unique to Nanda and Yashoda, but something that
Right.
occurs with other associates of Krishna.
Good. And that's where we read it too in the Brihad. Good. Okay. Did Manvantara read? Manvantaraji, could you read? Thank you.
Text
Acharya.
50. When Brahma said, "Yes, let it be so," the most fortunate Drona, who was equal to Bhagavan, appeared in Rajapura, Vrindavan, as the most famous Nanda, and his wife Dara appeared as Mother Yashoda. Purport. Because whenever Krishna appears on this earth, he superficially needs a father and a mother. Drona and Dara, his eternal father and mother, appeared on earth before Krishna as Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. In contrast to Sutapa and Prishni, they did not undergo severe penances and austerities to become the father and mother of Krishna. This is the difference between Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha.
Okay, now I have a question about that. Who is Devaki, are Devaki and Vasudev, Sudapa and Prishni?
Yeah, I think we read that one.
No.
Brahma gave them the benediction.
So then they are
previously, right?
Sadhana Siddha,
Oh.
according to that. Even put more confusion in the pot. We don't have
May
to
I
understand all these things. Yeah, go on.
So there is some purport, and I can't find it right now, but it was mentioned several times in the purports throughout the readings in this 10th canto about taking on, by Srila Prabhupada in the purports, about taking on the mood of becoming a parent of Krishna. And I related to that so much because it is, seeing Krishna as a child is more approachable, like the Godhead, versus the fear and of judgment and those kind of things. So but also I understand that as jivas we're not, we can't be. I get that in our lesson today, that we can't be Krishna's mother, father directly like that. So is there some kind of misconception that I'm not sure if I understand?
No, you can have this mood. Patti, why don't you tell me what you said this morning about actually you even repeated it here, that that pastime when Krishna, when Brahma stole the cows, and you say it, Patti.
No, go ahead, Sama. I'm looking something up.
Okay. Brahma stole the cows from the Acharya. You say it, Acharya. He knows it. He's shaking his head. Yes,
I know it, but I would love to hear it from you, Mother.
Okay, Lord Brahma stole the cows, and for 1 year, Krishna solved the whole problem by expanding himself and taking the forms of his cowherd boyfriends and going home to their homes and accepting their mothers and fathers as his mother and father. So at that point, the only cowherd boy in all of Vrindavan was Krishna, who had expanded himself. But expanding himself means he knew all the habits, all the personal dealings of each cowherd boy. And this is also to show us that you can, if you have an inclination to have a relationship with Krishna in a certain bhav, in a certain mood, don't worry. He's got it covered. He will absolutely reciprocate with you in a way that you can express your intimate loving feelings with him. It's not in competition with Mother Yasoda or the gopis or the cowherd boys or anyone. There's no competition. It is waiting for you. He's waiting for you to come to him and exhibit that special rasa that only you can give him, that you choose to give him, that he can't repay you for giving him that ecstatic love that you want to give. He's waiting for it, and it's unique for you.
Wonderful. Let me share this. So why don't you read this, Manvantara, highlighted?
In other words, it is not possible for a sadhana siddha living being to become the father and mother of Krishna, for Krishna's father and mother are already designated. But by following the principles exhibited by Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and their associates, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, ordinary living beings may attain such affection as exhibited by Nanda and Yashoda.
That's pretty much what Samape was talking about.
Yes.
But also, in addition to that you will have an opportunity to be Krishna's mother in that mood, And I love when Prabhupada says that it's already taken. It's already taken. That position of mother and father is already taken.
Malini
Yes.
and Acharya. Malini
Okay.
first.
Okay.
I just want to read some verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita following the Seva Sadhaka Upena that Dhruva Maharaj shared earlier, because I think it goes so much in that direction. There is teaching from Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami. It's chapter 22, verse 154. Devotional service in spontaneous love is vividly expressed and manifested by the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Devotional service that accords with their devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti, or devotional service in the wake of spontaneous loving service. And then a next verse says, a devotee should always think of Krishna within himself, and one should choose a very dear devotee who is in the service of Krishna in Vrindavan. One should constantly engage in topics about that servitor and his loving relationship to Krishna, and one should live in Vrindavan, and of course in the mind. So that's what I understand from Lord Chaitanya, is that we want to focus on one of those servants and serve in the mood of that servant and serve that servant. And then that's how, we serve in the mood of parental affection, Krishna.
Okay. That's beautiful. Thank you for that evidence. Acharya.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that at least from a literal reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, even Nanda and Yashoda are not the actual mother and father of Krishna. Of course, there's discussion about that we don't have to get into, but he was not, from the Bhagavatam description.
Yeah.
He was not born to them.
No.
They're convinced that they're Krishna's mother and father, and Krishna's convinced this is my mother and father, and all the Brijabasis and everyone knows Nanda and Yashoda are their mother and father of Krishna, even if in a technical way they're not. So that means that it's not just about, coming from a womb. And I think Jiva Goswami says in Gopal Champu, that love of mother and father is not about genetics, but it's about the love.
Yeah.
So, so we could from that, maybe we could extrapolate that not exactly the same, but that type of love is also available to us who are not literally father and mother of Krishna.
Very nice. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. And also Vasudeva, he's convinced that he is the father of Krishna. My son will do this. Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you. All right, let's go on. Nanda, are you still there?
Surprisingly enough, yes.
Oh, I'm so happy. Could you read?
Yes. 10, Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 8, 51 and 52. Thereafter, O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharatas, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead became the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda, they maintained continuous, unswerving devotional love and parental affection. And in their association, all the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, the Gopas and the Gopis, developed the culture of Krishna Bhakti. Thus, the Supreme Personality of God, the Supreme Personality, Krishna, along with Balaram, lived in Brajabhumi, Vrindavan, just to substantiate the benediction of Brahma. By exhibiting different pastimes in his childhood, he increased the transcendental pleasure of Nanda and the other inhabitants of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Although when the Supreme Personality of Godhead stole the butter, curd, and milk of the neighboring Gopas and Gopis, this teasing superficially seemed troublesome. In fact, it was an exchange of affection in the ecstasy of devotional service. The more the Gopas and the Gopis exchanged feelings with the Lord, the more their devotional service increased. Sometimes we may superficially see that a devotee is in difficulty because of being engaged in devotional service, but the fact is different. When a devotee suffers for Krishna, that suffering is transcendental enjoyment. Unless one becomes a devotee, this cannot be understood. When Krishna exhibited his childhood pastimes, not only did Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda increase their devotional affection, but those in the association also increased in devotional service. In other words, persons who follow the activities of Vrindavan will also develop devotional service in the highest perfection. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, nice note to end on. So tell us, Nanda, what does this mean?
Well, it's actually encapsulating all the conversation that we've been just having. The questions and the answers are all right there very clearly, and it takes a while to digest it. It comes in layers, it takes a while. You think, oh, yeah, I got it. And then you don't really have it all, but it comes gradually. And especially the end and that promise that Krishna's made that, you just take up the progress. Okay, here's my favorite quote that I've quoted, but I haven't quoted it for a long time. So haha. Third, Nectar of Instruction, third verse in the purport at the end, Srila Prabhupada says, the process of bhakti is so pure and potent that once having begun, one is dragged to ultimate success. Hari, Hari, Bol.
Hari, dragged. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sweet. Thank you all. Anyone else have something to add to all these nectarian topics? Pati,
oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. One of the points that will be brought up in the next section, and I want to discuss it now just to put it out there, because next week we won't have the Zoom. We're going to another program next Saturday, so there won't be a Zoom. But as you're reading, what happens is that we remember back earlier in what we just read, hearing about the intimacy between Mother Yasoda and Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj asked, what did they do in their last lives to possibly attain this position of such intimacy? And this answer that Sukadeva Goswami just gave about Dara and Drona and Lord Brahma's benediction upon them was the first answer. But it will be described that he could tell that Parikshit Maharaj wasn't fully satisfied by that. So he's going to go into chapter 9, which we'll post tomorrow. Haribol.
Wow, that reminds me of the thing that I was going to mention, Nanda. that Lord Brahma's benediction was substantiated. What did that mean? That brings us all the way back to, because this is Lord Brahma's benediction was substantiated in this topic somehow.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that also came up as like a question mark in my mind. And so far, I can't remember what Lord Brahma's been.
What was that, Patsy? What was that? That Lord Brahma, person who lived in Brahmabuddhis, to substantiate the benediction of Brahma to Dara and Drona, because they wanted to have Krishna as their child.
That's how he answered the question.
Yeah, that's how they answer the question. Okay.
But now he'll go much further in the next chapter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Please accept my obeisances.
Have a good day, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.